Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Hunter with Rebel Outdoors, and today we're going to talk about 5 likes and dislikes for owning a full-size overland build.
Oh man, the lighting's wrong for full flex.
So, when you have a truck like the Moose, sometimes you got to clear some trails. So this little Milwaukee Now, I just want to start off by saying this is all opinion based. I do own a full size. I've had 2 full size overlands build so far. I guess you could kind of consider one like an XL if you want to throw the 2500s in that class category. But typically a full size is like a normal size pickup truck. So like a Ram 1500, an F-150, a Chevy Colorado, or not Colorado, Chevy Silverado, and up. So like the 2500s, the 250s, things of that sort, your heavy duty trucks. And typically I'm also going to keep the campers, in-bed campers, in this category too. So like I own a Ram 2500, as most of you guys know. So if I took like the bed off and put like a camper in it, or just put a camper in the bed, that's all kind of going to be in this full size category for the talking points. And to start off, I'm going to do 5 of the good things I think about having a full size overland build. So the first thing, kind of going off that camper thing, is having payload. Typically with these full size trucks, you have a lot more payload than you do like a mid-size, for example. That allows you to put more gear, put more, heavier things like bumpers and accessories, things of that sort, on your vehicle without really having to worry too much about it. Next thing, with the bigger body, you're going to have more space. And that is, if you have like a bed rack or a topper, you're going to have more space on or in the bed rack and topper. You're going to have more space inside the cab of the vehicle, If you have a big family or you have big pets like I do, sometimes that's a really good thing to have, is all that extra space. Number 3 has got to be, typically in most cases, are going to be a lot more powerful than like a mid-size, for example. I know now you can get diesels on a lot of these like 1500 class trucks, but typically even the gas ones, like for example, a Ram fan, so like the Hemi engine is going to be a lot better than like the 3.6 liter in like the Jeeps or something like that. And then of course you can upgrade into like the Ram 2500s to get the Cummins diesel and get all kinds of torque. Obviously most of these overland builds have a lot of gear on them, so you want to have a more powerful engine. That way your vehicle's not dampered as much and it's not putting as much stress on your like suspension components and transmission, and your vehicle's just going to have a better overall time of dealing and pulling that weight. Or let's say if you have like a trailer, it's going to have an easier time pulling that trailer. Towing, so like people that do have trailers, or sometimes they want to have like use their full-size overland rig as like a base camp, and they want to bring like quads or snowmobiles or side-by-side, you can do that kind of thing. And again, you're not really putting as much stress on your components for the vehicle. I'm not saying that like none of this is like mid-sizes can't do this. Or maybe you have like a dedicated trail vehicle, and it's not street legal, so you want to have your overland rig as like a base camp vehicle for like a wheeling trip, and then you offload your Jeep and go wheel that all weekend. That's another great thing too. I think this last one is a topic that doesn't get brought up enough, and that is your fuel range. Now, of course, the more things you have on your vehicle, it's going to hurt your fuel mileage. The bigger tires you get, it's going to hurt your fuel mileage. All these different factors, but if you have an overland rig, you're probably going to end up doing some of this regardless. And I'm not saying you have to have like a fully decked out thing. You could have something very low pro, or overlanding means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but I'm just using some of those more like iconic things that you'll typically see as like an overland vehicle. So having that bigger fuel tank allows you to go further, right? Being able to plan your fuel stops a little less frequently, or being able to carry, kind of going back on the payload, being able to carry spare fuel for people that need it, or being able to carry an extra, fuel tank in the bed of your truck or something of that nature. We'll start off with more fuel consumption. Now, of course, trucks are not known for having good miles per gallon. So when you start to throw on like bumpers, sliders, a bed rack, a tent, all the things, your fuel mileage is going to decrease heavily. For example, on my Ram 2500, when I bought it and it was bone stock, I was easily getting 23 miles a gallon highway, and now I'm getting like 17 miles a gallon highway, and so even if you do get a diesel, you'll have a little bit better of a time with that aspect, and of course like having more power and all that, than like a gasser, but at the same time it's gonna affect you no matter what. I feel like the full sizes don't have that much of a problem as like the mid sizes do, kind of going back to that power aspect on the good things, but yeah, still an issue. All right, number 2 has got to be the weight of these vehicles. Now typically it's not a huge ordeal when you start talking about weight, unless you're talking about going through mud, going through water, going through sand, going through snow, doing some like really off camber things. Or, and one thing that I kind of encounter a lot with the people that I go with around where I live, is I weigh a lot more than all the other vehicles there. So if I get stuck, it's going to be a fun time getting me out. And with that, it'll bring us to number 3, which for me I think is honestly the worst, or I guess the biggest downfall of the full size. And really it just kind of depends where you're located. And for me, I think like out west, this really isn't an issue for you. But if you're on like the eastern side of like the US or whatnot, where you have a lot of like Jeep trails around you, that would be size. So I've shoved my Ram 2500 in some places that it probably shouldn't have gone. And also on the trail, I find myself being the very back in the pack, because I have to go through the trail so much slower than everybody else, because they have more room on either side, or front and back, all that kind of good thing. So it's very slow going around some of the areas around here, for me at least, or just some of the other places that I've been, like up in the UP and Kentucky and so on and so forth. Now I know this was one of the good facts, but this also is a bad fact, and that is all that cargo space that you have. It's so easy to just like buy the biggest chairs or the biggest table or biggest fridge and just throw it in the back of the truck, saying, I got all this extra space, so why, might as well. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I've been on some like solo weekend trips where like the entire bed, like the main part of my bed, not like all the way up to the topper, is just like full of stuff, and I'm going out for like 3 days, two nights, and it's just me and like maybe a dog, so that's definitely one thing that kind of sucks about having all that extra space, is you're not so concerned about like, I need to be very cognizant of like where I put things and how I pack my bags, and you can just literally throw things in the back of your truck, and I'm definitely guilty of doing that. All right, and the last thing, this doesn't have to be for sure, but I feel like when you see these people talk about like how much they've spent on their rigs, usually the full sizes cost more, and I think the reason being is they're typically bigger, so you're typically running like bigger tires, bigger wheels. You're running, heavier bumpers, so maybe your bumpers cost more because there's more bumper, there's more surface area to all these parts. They have to be more durable to handle all the weight. When you're talking about like toppers and bed racks, usually, again, more surface area, so you're having to pay for more material and things of that sort. So I feel like the full sizes, especially when you get into like the XL size, or even if you want to put like a camper in the back of your truck, it's definitely gonna cost you some money. So that will kind of wrap this little video up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I try to respond to everybody's comments, and I like having discussions with some people about it. I'm pretty open-minded. These were just, you know, 10 things that I think, 5 good and 5 bad about having full sizes. If there's anything else that you guys think is like a good pro or something that kind of shies you away from the full sizes, absolutely comment it down below and we can chat down there. If you haven't subscribed already, I suggest you subscribe. I usually do weekly content, or that's kind of been the agenda now, and I cover all kinds of different categories like firearms. Haven't done much hunting content, but this past year was pretty busy, so I didn't get out as much, and same thing with fishing. Just haven't really been able to get out as much as I'd like to, but this year I have all kinds of cool things planned, especially for, like, speaking of the full size, I got a lot of fun trips planned up that the Ram will be going on, and, you know, adventuring out with all of my friends. So like this video if you think it was good. If you don't, leave me a comment down below. We can chat about that too. Hit the little bell notification, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.